Martha, good afternoon to you. By law, Georgia has to begin the recount by the end of the week, Friday the 13th, and they got a week to do it. I get the sense after listening to John's reporting there that we're starting to settle in for this thing, into this thing rather for a while. What is your sense of that?
I think that's true. I think that there is an effort on the part of Mitch McConnell and others, Senator McConnell and others, to sort of put in a little breathing space here and allow these counts to be carried out. I also think John's reporting on the fact that they're looking for a legal decision to go their way sort of tells us a lot as well. They need something to break in their direction in order to open up not only the legal reality here, but also the potential for public opinion to be open to whatever might come of that. I just think that we have to look at this year, at 2020, as just a very different circumstance, Bill. And we had an enormously unusual election cycle. And I think that if it takes a little extra time to sort it out, I think people need to take a breath and and stop sort of suggesting that everyone has to just suck it up and move on, which is, I think, the words that Whoopi Goldberg used the other day. We saw 4 years where that never happened, where President Trump was called an illegitimate president by a large portion of the country. There's 71 million Americans who support him. I thought John Roberts' reporting was also interesting about these red legislatures around the country who are going to be part of certifying all of these votes. There's a ton of anger out there, and I think you don't hear it that much in the media echo chamber right now. You're hearing all of this elation for Joe Biden to be the next president. However, you have to respect the feelings of the other half of the country that are still processing all of this, and a little time in the middle of a pandemic is not too much to ask. In
the meantime, listen to Steve Harrigan's reporting down there in Georgia. I mean, it's the focus that we've stated repeatedly that for almost a week now. This is going to be the rally cry for Republicans. Chuck Schumer on Saturday, just roll the tape here. Here's what he said in New York.
Now we take Georgia, and then we change the world. Yeah! I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Mr. Schumer? Now we take Georgia, and then we change America.
So if you're Kelly Loeffler or if you're David Perdue and you're running down there in Georgia, you're going to hear that soundbite a lot.
I love that. I love how he starts with "change the world," and then someone said, "I'm sorry, what'd you say?" He said, "Change America."
We'll start with put his mask on in between.
Exactly, and put his mask on in between. Exactly. I think that these stories are fascinating about the call to get people to move to Georgia. We were analyzing all the rules in Georgia about this recount. You don't have to have voted in the first election in order to vote in this recount. You also can register you get a Georgia driver's license, I believe, up until December 5th or 6th, somewhere right in there. So, I mean, these, if you want to watch what happens and how these votes get potentially skewed, there's a lot of legal windows that are open, and those are the dates that exist right now. But I think we have to watch all of this really, really closely in this reporting.
Just one last thing here. I haven't seen Joe Biden a ton. I don't know if you expect to, but we know what he's going to do on day one if he's sworn in on the 21st of January. It takes the oath of office, rather, the 20th. Rejoin the Paris Climate Accord is one of them. Rejoin World Health Organization is another. DACA's in there, and repeal a travel ban on some of the majority Muslim countries. I think numbers 1, number 3 will get a lot of attention. I mean, look, we've been told that China and India can do what they want when it comes to pollution, and we were held to a different standard. And with regard to the World Health Organization, we were told that they gave us bad information early on during the pandemic. How do you think that's going to go?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having scrutiny towards the World Health Organization. They did not do a great job handling this pandemic in the early stages, and they gave China way too large a benefit of the doubt. And with the Paris Climate Accord, it sounds great to want to be in on something that's, potentially going to be great for the environment, but you have to be all in, and that means China and India. In that original accord, China didn't have to change anything until 2035, nothing. And they are one of the world's largest polluters. So that's a major problem that needs to be fixed. And, it might build some goodwill to say we're back in, but you better get back in with a clear eye to what China is and is not willing to do, and whether or not without them, you're going to see any difference at all. And I just want to mention on the way out, Bill, we've been ahead of the parameters for where we had agreed to be in the Paris Climate Accord, even though we're not part of it. So keep that in mind as well, everybody.
Well, we shall. We'll see you at 7 o'clock tonight. Nice to have you today, Martha.
See you then, Bill. Great to see you, as
Martha
always.
MacCallum, 7 o'clock Eastern. Thanks.